sharing with you in this video why it's not difficult to create your dreams and goals, and it's not going to be what you think. And so the first thing that I want to share with you in this video in terms of what I mean by this is to understand that ultimately speaking, no matter what we want to create in our life, what I strongly believe is that eventually, no matter what kind of emotions we feel, whether it's emotions of gratitude or happiness or even sadness along the way, or anger or upset or whatever the case may be, eventually you're going to have to sort of get to this energy, in my personal opinion, where it just becomes normal. And so what we want to do is normalize your desires. That's what I really believe is a powerful step that we can take, because when we can begin to normalize our desires and just make it normal rather than this maybe one day it'll happen, like if the stars align kind of thing, like maybe if I get lucky. See, lucky is not really in the picture for questioning anymore when you just normalize having it. See, luck, in my personal opinion, is nothing more than just how prepared are you for an opportunity. So it's preparedness plus opportunity is what's going to make you quote unquote lucky, in my personal opinion. So when we can start to come from this place of understanding that what you want shouldn't feel so far away, just make it normal for you, I think that that's what's going to be the belief system that oftentimes can shift us from hoping that it's going to happen or trying to make it happen or really attempting that, and then you have this sort of mentality where like possibly maybe it will happen. Instead, you just make a decision that it's simply yours, and then you normalize it, and then you imagine that it's just normal. It's a part of who you are. It's a part of your identity. Who do you have to be in order to have what you want? Normalize that. Don't make it a big thing. Don't make it this crazy outlandish thing. Again, if you had it, it would simply be normal. And then so the second reason why it's not difficult to create your dreams and goals, in my personal opinion, is to have an understanding that effort and work, of course, are necessary, but you can be willing and exciting to do the work. So every single time you don't feel like doing it, there's something deeper within you that wants to do it anyway. What is that? What is it within us that's gonna make it so that we continue to take action even when we're feeling super low or super down? Is it just positive thinking? Is it just, positive affirmations? I think that there's something deeper than positive affirmations. Not to say that just thinking alone can't solve the problem, but what if thinking can become a limitation? And what would be the next thing that you would depend on? In my personal opinion, it would be to depend on having an understanding that it's not just the effort in the work that you put in, it's also how willing you are again, and is that coming from that deeper essence within you, where you're not just focused on what exactly are you doing, like what steps do I have to take? Because that's oftentimes a problem when it comes to the creation processes. We're just too logical. Let's say, how do I go from A to B to see? And oftentimes the creation process doesn't necessarily happen in a logical way. Sometimes it can happen a little bit different. There can be a lot of logic, there can be a lot of structure, there can be a lot of consistency to, of course, what you're creating. But then eventually you have to also see that, it's still going to be up to you to infuse excitement, so to speak, and make yourself feel excited, even if you feel like you're sluggish and you don't want to do it, or whatever the case might be. So the point being here, without digressing too much, is to have an understanding that you're gonna have to do work. You're gonna have to put in the effort, but just understand that if you're sort of willing to do the work, if you're willing to put in that effort, if you're willing to go through the problems and the challenges and, so to speak, the issues that may come along while you're creating what you want, then that's when you're gonna start to see that it's not difficult to go through the problems at all. The problems may happen, you might feel resistance, you might feel issues, but you love it all. You love the process, you love every part of it, and every issue that happens you also take as just a learning opportunity. See, whereas one person may experience a negative situation, they take that situation to mean something bad that it means they're not going to create, which leads me to the third and final thing that I want to share with you in this video, which is to have an understanding that the ego creates a story around problems. That's really what it does at the end of the day. That's what the ego is going to do, right? Every single time you have a problem that happens in your life, it's going to create a story around whether that's a good thing or whether that's a bad thing. And oftentimes, if you can just become conscious of the story that you're creating when a problem happens, you can get a very good clue as to why you're acting the way that you're acting. You can get a lot of clarity in terms of maybe why you haven't been able to level up or shift into a different version of yourself or to become something different, because oftentimes that reaction, that sort of unconscious reaction, without consciousness and awareness of that reaction, we become the reaction. We become the emotional reaction. It becomes who we are. Rather than having a conscious awareness that can see the reaction for what it is, not to identify with it, and then allow it to stop us from taking the next action that we know we have to take in order to get the results that we want, we actually can start to separate ourselves from that problem, so to speak. Don't identify with the problem, which is going to help us to become that person that we really want to be and make the whole process of creation a more conscious process, not just things happening just like with no purpose and no reasoning behind them at all. There definitely is purpose, there definitely is reasoning in terms of why stuff happens. And have you ever considered that actually you are the reason why things happen the way that they happen? Not to say that you have control over things in the external world and everything that happens to you, but the point being that there's a lot of things in your life that you can control. And the question is, are you going to take responsibility for how you're feeling in your life? And even if not how you're feeling, how you choose to act regardless of your feeling, who you choose to be regardless of your feeling. That's up to you. If you feel like your being is reacting to something, even how you choose to react to that is ultimately up to you. There's many levels that can go into you sort of not identifying with the problems in your life, and there's a lot of levels that can go with you identifying with the problems in your life. And the question is, how do you differentiate the two? It's not by necessarily changing anything in your life, but it's about just simply having awareness while we take our day-to-day actions that will in the end make it so that creating what you want is not this unnecessarily difficult process where you feel like you have to sacrifice your values and your morals and your principles in order to be the person that you actually want to be in your life.